were ill-treated all over. The mine workers, sometimes we thought that we are not like all other people. Now, the political climate during those days were growing up and up time and again. We had to say the struggle for better wages is not different from the struggle for liberation in this country, because they are linked. Now, we had to find who is a unifying figure, who the mine workers will feel comfortable to associate with. And we realized that it's Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela worked in the mining industry. So to say, you as a mine workers, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you to become the most respected political leader nationally and internationally. Mandela has suffered the consequences of what we are suffering at the present moment. He is where he is today precisely because he couldn't stomach this dictatorship. That apartheid is the one which made possible for oppression by man to man, meaning white man to a black man in the mining industry. And therefore, that is why we decided to say a unifying figure is Nelson Mandela. And nobody opposed it. It was an exercise which we started towards end of 1984. The whole of 1985, we ran workshops, seminars, we addressed rallies to make sure that when we adopted that resolution, it's a resolution of the masses, not the resolution of the Congress. So to politicize them, it was even easier than we thought it could be. Because they go to township, people in the township are talking about Nelson Mandela. They ask where Nelson Mandela worked. They said, no, we don't know. We know he was a lawyer. They said, Nelson Mandela worked in the mining industry. And then the argument will start to say, no, that is not true. Said, it's true. Then we know he worked in the Crown mines. He was a washman in the Crown mines. You can go to Teba, where we are today. You can get that record. Mandela worked in the industry. So it helped us for other mine workers to politicize other mine workers in a simple language than to talk about socialism versus capitalism. You see, mine workers do not understand those big words. During those days, what was important for us, it was for mine workers to understand that what is important is to remove the apartheid, because it's the cause of the oppression in the mining industry. And people who worked in the mining industry before them could not sustain the oppression. That is why ultimately some of them are in Robben Island, end up in different prisons, but in particular, here is the figurehead. You go everywhere in the country, all over the world, people are talking about Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela became our icon. On the 22nd of November, 1989, that was the first time to meet with Nelson Mandela in the Victor's Vester prison. We met with him from 7:30 in the morning up to 4:30 in the afternoon. We had breakfast together, we had lunch together. It was amazing for me to say, oh, this is Nelson Mandela. That's the first one. I was excited, like all other comrades I was with. They were excited to meet with him. And then he wanted us to brief him about what is happening outside. He was well informed. And then he briefed us about what is going to happen. We were excited. And then he raised a question of saying, now we need to bring all the forces together against apartheid. Homeland leaders, at the beginning we said, no ways. No way we can see ourselves with homeland leaders. He said, no, that is the direction we have to take. We said, no. Now he started to unpack individuals. He will say, do you know who Kachabu Teleti's father is? His grandfather, his grand-grandfather. You know the Battle of Sangwana, you know the Battle of this, you know the... You know who Lucas Mangope is. You know his father, you know his grandfather, you see, he will take you back in such a manner that because you are ignorant, sometimes you can't argue with him. But the line he was pushing was to say, don't think those people, they are there because they support apartheid. The apartheid created those structures for them. Now we must take those structures and use it against the very same apartheid. When he said that, immediately I said, yeah.
We must continue our efforts to turn our hopes into reality. The long walk continues.
I think Mandela is not about the education. He is gifted. He is a leader by birth. I don't have any other words than that. He is a person who is able to communicate with just an ordinary people down there, children, and is also a person who is able to engage the highly educated intellectual people at international, national level. So even whites who do not want to become members of the ANC, they wanted to be associated with Nelson Mandela. Whites who cannot vote for the ANC, if you can put ANC here and Mandela here, they can vote for Mandela, not the ANC. It's a unifier.
It is the realization of hopes and dreams that we have cherished over decades. The dreams of a South Africa which represents all South Africans.